Peace, party people. I know I was supposed to come back December 4th. There's an apology in this episode, but this is our holiday special, right? Ho, 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 Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, right? Or ho, 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 Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, as my man said in that song. Enough, right? So it's a holiday special. We're just going to be a fat version or a thicker version of where my Killa tape at. We're definitely going to talk about Kwanzaa. We're going to do a quick review of the Justice League movie. I know I'm late with that. We'll talk about Café Bustelo and why slides are Bama. We're going to also talk about abs in our health section and consent when it comes to how to approach women. We're also going to talk about holidays and wokeness. So definitely check us out, party people.
I like the rhymes.
All of us are born with the miraculous ability to determine the direction from which sounds approach us.
Let us venture into new and uncharted land.
People get shook up, when I'm introduced as God.
You got that good hair, too.
You're the first one out there with a dashiki talking that crap.
It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
I pull up, hop out, air out, made it look sexy. They won't take me out my element, nah, take me out my element.
Since it is the season, you know what I mean? The winter solstice, I'm sipping on Coquitos. Shout out to all my Borinquen fans, which I know is Puerto Ricans. They usually around this time give away bottles of Coquito to their neighbors, vecinos y vecinas. So that's what I'm sipping on for this episode of Where My Killa Tape At. Word is born. Again, I fucked up, so forgive me. I was supposed to release this episode December 4th. I'm releasing it December 27th on Kujichagulia Day, actually. So my apologies for that. I'm not going to start season 2 until January. So we're going to take another week off, another 2 weeks off. I'm sorry. But anyway, this is like a holiday special. I hope you enjoy it. My bad, party peoples. I shouldn't do stuff like that. Consistency is key when it comes to doing this podcast thing. So my bad once again. Word. As of this recording, it's been a couple of days since the news has gone out. Reggie Osei, aka Combat Jack of the Combat Jack Show, and one of the founding members of the the Loudspeakers Network, LSN, and that's the podcasting network that has The Read, it has Angela Rye's podcast, it has Ed Lover's podcast. So, Combat Jack is a pioneer in this podcast, very inspiring individual, and it's just really tragic, man. Shit, man, So this episode is definitely dedicated to him and his memory. I never had a chance to meet him, but we interacted on Twitter a couple times. It was dope, and I had hoped to meet him one day, just to get a little bit of jewels in there, right? So, for those of y'all that have loved ones, man, give them their roses now, man. Word is born. So this is dedicated to you, to the Combat Jack. Hashtag Combat Cancer. Word is born.
Yeah. Yo, I think Prince should run first on this one. I think so. Yeah. Yo, I think Prince should run first on this one. I think so.
Okay, all right. The draft for cuffing season is over. That draft is over, man. So if you didn't get cuffed, my bad. Doesn't mean that you should slack, right? Because you never know. Somebody might lose their contract. Maybe you be getting drafted at the last minute. Not drafted, but you might be getting picked up at the last minute. So that doesn't mean you slack. That being said, since it is cold, depending on what part of the country you live in, I think it's very important to stay moisturized. I know. Don't be Ashy Larry out here in these streets, B. I'm trying to tell you. Don't be ashy Larry, man. Even us light-skinned cats, we get ashy, especially in the winter. So it's always good to keep some lotion on you. You know what I mean? Don't get that cheap stuff either, man. Get that good stuff that really gets into your skin, you know what I mean, and really moisturizes you. So just want to put that out there, man, because I be seeing a lot of cats, and, you know, I be dapping them up, and I be like, damn, B. And I know some of us work hard. I'm not going to lie. Some of us work with our hands, and it's rough. And I think that's excusable. Like, I think that's excusable. You know what I mean? So if I see you, like, at 5 o'clock at the supermarket, you just got off of work, you Gucci, man. But if it's, like, 7, 8 o'clock, and I see you hanging out, chilling, and your stuff is ashy, B, get away from me, man. All right? Because ashy is contagious. Ashiness is contagious, man. It is. So, yeah, that being said, stay moisturized. Keep that lotion in your book bag, in your car. You know what I'm saying? In your office, in your locker room or whatever. Stay moisturized, B. Work. Peace, Sabargani. Today is the day of Umoja. Been celebrating Kwanzaa for a minute, man, so bear with me. But other than that, happy holidays. I hope y'all had a wonderful Christmas and everything. Shout out to all of y'all, man, for real, for real. Coming up, we didn't really celebrate Christmas. We're Dominicans, so we celebrated the Day of Three Kings, which is on January 6th. Actually, the 12th day of Christmas. Yeah, that's wild, right? So we celebrated that. I mean, we still had trees up and everything, but we gave out presents on January 6th for the Day of Three Kings. But when I became like an adult, while I was in the Navy, I started celebrating Kwanzaa. And now at my house, we do Kwanzaa. So that's why when we greet each other, we don't say Happy Kwanzaa, we say Habargani, which means what's the news? And you respond with the principle of the day, which today is Umoja, unity. So I hope this podcast isn't dated. Word. So, yo, I was at work, right? And I was chilling with my man. And, you know, I'm like hipping him to coffee or whatever. So he somehow, I don't know how he got his hands on this, but he started drinking Café Bustelo, you know what I mean? So I was just like, damn, like, okay, all right, you know what I mean? So one day I came in, he said, yo, I'm about to make some coffee. I was like, cool. It was in the morning because I don't drink coffee too late. So I'm like, yo, hook me with some Café Bustelo. So he makes a Café Bustelo, you know what I mean? And like, you know, once it gets done, I take the pot, put in a pinch of brown sugar in my cup, and then just pour it in there. And I start drinking. He's like, yo, you drink it black? And I'm like, yeah, man, like, I wouldn't be Dominican if I put creamer in my Café Bustelo. You know what I mean? Like, you would have to come here and rip the Dominican flag from my house if I was like, you know, putting creamer in my Café Bustelo. Be like, really, for real, like if there's a mark of when I'm Dominican, right, is the fact that I drink my Bustelo, my Café Bustelo black. And just a FYI, this is not an endorsement of Café Bustelo. They ain't paying me for this, but it's just Café Bustelo and Dominicans go hand in hand. Word.
Medina Green, DCQ.
Peace, party people. Real quick, man, I know this is a bad note, and I shouldn't try to end the year on a bad note, right? But it's been a shitty year, ain't it? 2017. But look, just read an article this morning of how the former University of Hartford student, Brianna, is it Brochu? The one that was like, she had a black roommate, right? And she was doing all this nasty stuff too. It actually got her sick. Chanel Rose, her name. And I just want to say real quick, because they're not going to charge her with a hate crime. And which it's completely frustrating because it was clear that she was doing it because her roommate was black, right? It was just, the videos were very clear on that. I didn't watch the videos, but I read the transcripts because I just can't watch that stuff. Anyway, to Chanel Rose, you know, we send you mad love, man. We send you, you know, mad love and light, hope, healing, because that shit is like crazy for somebody to go through. Like that really is, to be terrorized by someone who's supposed to be looking out for you. And let me just say this, America, shit is not new. That's not new. And it's unfortunate that it feels like Brianna probably get away with this. Like, you know what I'm saying? And she'll probably be able to go. She won't be able to go back to University of Hartford, but she'll be able to go to another school, and people will pretty much forget it. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, so really for Chanel, like, it's going to take a lot to heal. I get it. It's like, yo, that's crazy, man. And I don't wish that on nobody. But a lot of times in these situations, we kind of like, don't get me wrong. We should put our boot on the neck of the purpose for this, right? We shouldn't let the perpetrators get away with this. And we should make sure that, like, yo, this is messed up. But yo, Chanel, mad love to you, because I know you need a lot of healing. This is a lot. And, for a lot of us, when we go through these kind of things, it's difficult for us to bounce back and try to, just imagine going to school and you get another roommate. Like, what can that person say or do for you that'll reassure you that they're not going to do no fuck shit like that? And there's really no guarantee of that. And that's scary, man. So our love goes out to you, and hope you get through to the healing. I hope your family's there for you, your friends. We love you, even though I don't know you, but still want to send that out to you, because oftentimes when it comes to the victims, we don't really reach out to them and show them love. And we need to start doing that, because healing takes a minute for a lot of us. Word. Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body. Secret society trying to keep their eye on me. Yo, shout out to the late great prodigy of Mobb Deep. That was his line. It was on the LL Cool J song, where he said that line, and everybody quoted it. And people, actually, a lot of people sampled that line, and it's crazy, right? Anyway, the reason why I brought up the idea of the Illuminati is because in the 90s, and I'm not saying that the 90s was the beginning of when people started talking about conspiracy theories. I think conspiracy theories has been around for a while. And again, I say conspiracy theories hyphenated, right? But in the 90s, it was really big, particularly in hip-hop culture, like in hip-hop music, actually. You see that happen a lot. People talk about the Illuminati. I remember going to Rocksteady one time, and people on stage talk about Illuminati. People talk about it in their songs, And, it's crazy, because I thought that by the time I got to be this age, you wouldn't really be hearing about that. I'm 44. But I think because of the internet, it's probably stronger now, right? Because of YouTube, it's probably like more widespread. And I have a lot more younger people come and ask me about the Illuminati. And I think in the previous episode, we talked about the book, The New World Order by C. Ralph Epperson. And that's actually, I'm not saying buy the book, right? But he talks about, he spends chapters on the Illuminati in there. And I believe he wrote a book called Illuminati 666. I could be wrong. I had it and I lost it, like decades ago. But another book you want to get is Behold the Pale Horse, which is also hilarious. And he actually was killed, like the author of that. I can't remember his name, but in Behold the Pale Horse, he actually has like an appendix at the end. I didn't have this edition. I had like an old edition, but if you got like a later edition, you would see he had like an appendix, and in the appendix he had a list of who was in the Illuminati supposedly. Now I can see there are two reasons why this idea continues to proliferate exponentially, right? The first one is that the thing about the Illuminati and its history is that it's very mysterious. I probably read about 6 or 7 books on the Illuminati, and they all have different origins of where it came from. And we do know there was an organization called the Illuminated Ones. Like that is true. Like, I forgot where it was, but that is true. That's documented. But that they went over and became the Illuminati, I don't know, right? But I think it's funny because, that, and because of that mystery, because those things are mysterious, you could probably be like, it might be true, right? Because people come up to me and they'll say, do you believe in the Illuminati? And I'm like, nah. Well, why don't you believe in the Illuminati? Why don't you think the Illuminati exists, right? And I can't really, all I can say is that it's bullshit, right? So, but then again, its origins are mysterious, and people will say, aha, it's mysterious because they don't want you to know. The Illuminati doesn't want you to know. And here's my thing. My thing with that was, back in the day, we used to pass out these books and read these and go read these books and go to these lectures, et cetera, et cetera. And people would be like, no, what should we do about it? And they'd be like, there's nothing you could do about it, right? Like, just pass the information along so people will know, And it's kind of like, Okay, so that's all we can do is just tell people, like, and nothing's going to happen, right? Like, and just imagine, like, do you think the Illuminati, if they're so big and giant and they just have their hands in everything, that they care about someone who's in their mom's basement on the internet? I doubt it. Anyway, the second reason why these ideas proliferates is because, central to the core of the Illuminati is a bunch of old white men run the shit. And let's be real, a bunch of old white men run this shit, right? And it's like, and so when people bring that up, it's kind of hard to refute because, white supremacy rules shit. And it's kind of like, and it's been like that for a long time, and white folks just really ain't trying to let go of that shit. And, so it's kind of like another thing, so very difficult to debate, well, see, these old white men, they got to be in the Illuminati. This has to be the Illuminati, right? So it's kind of like the second reason why those things continue to proliferate. So hope that helps out. And shout out to Roscos, man, and that's the Solar on Ice remix. That's the joint right there. You want to see some real Illuminati New World Order shit, listen to that song, man. And shout out to Diamond D for that remix. Peace. I don't know, man. Like during the holidays, I noticed two things, man. I don't know, maybe it's because of the people that I'm around, or people that I know. First of all, and let's go back to that episode. I can't remember which one we talked about woke, and a lot of people feel like if you celebrate like Christmas or Thanksgiving, you're not really woke. First of all, there's levels of being woke, and just because you celebrate, like Christmas or whatever, it doesn't make you less woke than the next person. Are there some things that we shouldn't celebrate? Are there some things that we shouldn't get down with for, several reasons? Yeah, that's true indeed. But it's kind of like religion. A lot of people don't really go into their religion because of theology. Most people don't, right? You still got a minority, right, that they're in that religion because of theology. But most people, they go to their church or whatever, their place of worship for fellowship, right? To socialize with other people that think like them. And not really, that's even questionable because, many religious institutions have been oppressive to a lot of people, marginalized or not, on so many levels. But we can get into that discussion and we can do that some other time. I just really say that for a lot of us, we do these holidays because we work for jobs that don't really give us time off, right? There's a lot of people that work jobs that don't give them paid time off. A lot of people don't know that. Or they just, not that they don't know that, they think that jobs do, but they don't. If you do have a job that gives you paid time off, then you consider yourself privileged, right? A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people, when they take time off, they don't get paid for that time. So Christmas and Thanksgiving, those holidays are days that those companies give them paid time off to go see their folks. And that's the thing. A lot of us work jobs. Some of us work a 9 to 5, a 5 to 9, and then a 10 to 3 just to keep, make the ends meet, right? So, y'all forget about those people. So for a lot of them, the holidays is the only time they get to see their extended family and sometimes their family. So we should really, really chill on how we talk about people, right? Just because they celebrate Christmas or whatever, that they not woke. And, most of us don't believe that a fat white dude comes around and gives presents anyway. So y'all need to kill that noise. But, I just think that there's some people who take this opportunity to antagonize family members and friends for doing certain things. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. I'm the first one to drop a jewel on somebody, but just because I know something doesn't give me the right to impose on their happiness or how they get down. If I know better, I should do better. And I'm not going to lie. I used to be that dude that used to come and spoil stuff. But, that's not cool. So I really urge some of my compatriots not to be that way. Really, if you don't want to celebrate the holiday, then that's fine. That's cool. No one's saying that you can't. But don't be an asshat. You know what I mean? Just don't do that. And respect people's wishes and where they at, in their growth and development. Word. I know I'm mad late with this, but I apologize for that because I know mad movies came out. So what I plan on doing is in January, I'm going to review Star Wars The Last Jedi because I'm pretty sure by then all of y'all would have seen it because there's a lot of stuff in there that's like spoiler-ific, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna do Justice League first. Real quick, I want to point out that Justice League was directed by Zack Snyder, right? And he bought you, you know what I mean? Like, he bought you, what was it? I can't remember the name of that movie. Anyway, it's co-written by Joss Whedon, right? Who screen wrote both Avengers movie, Avengers 1 and Age of Ultron. So something, and you're going to notice a similarity there. And just FYI, there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this review. Shout out to Bill Finger, man. He finally got his shine. Bill Finger is actually the co-creator of Batman with Bob Kane. And there's actually a dope documentary on it called Batman and Bill. It's really dope because it actually shows you how he actually gave Bob Kane much of the idea of what we know as Batman. Meaning, when Bob Kane, because Bob Kane was the guy that could draw, Bill Fingers was the idea guy. Initially, if you look at the original drawings of Bob Kane had for Batman, they're completely different from what Bill Fingers eventually put in there. So a lot of the villains, like the Joker, a lot of the characters, like the Commissioner, and all of them, like really pretty much Gotham, Bill Fingers had a hand in it. So if you look at the end of Justice League, Bill Fingers, his name comes up at the end, so I thought that was dope. Again, they brought back the cast. Henry Cavill as Superman, Ben Affleck as Batman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and then they introduced Ray Fisher as Cyborg, Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and Ezra Miller, who I'm completely unfamiliar with, as the Flash. So we're going to go ahead and start like we usually do, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Work. Okay, Justice League, the good. Again, the spoiler alerts over here, so you know what I mean? Sorry about that. But no, I'm not sorry about that. Anyway, the good is the fight between Superman and the Justice League. That was dope. Like, that was worth the price of admission. I thought that really was like, I was like, man, that's really like the steak and potatoes of this. I'm going to get into why later on. And also, the beginning scene where they show the original battle against Steppenwolf and how they had like Atlantis and Amazon for the mascara, and then they had a Green Lantern in it, right? But he ends up dying, and then the ring goes away. They show the ring going away. So I thought that was dope how they did that, because it kind of implies, just like Wonder Woman did in her movie, how she was saying that the Age of Heroes has come again. So she's saying that there was heroes before, Batman and Superman came on the scene. So I thought, I noticed that that's what DC is going to do, because DC cannot do what Marvel did, which is, when you look at it now, Marvel has done almost 15 years of movies that all tie in together. DC's not going to be able to do that. So they went ahead and went with this route, saying, oh, there's always been heroes. We've always been here. So I think that's a good idea on DC's part. So those are the things that I thought was dope. I really, really thought that. I was like, wow, like how they set everything up with the storyline. That was dope. And then the fight scene between Superman and the Justice League. Not a bad. Okay. There's a lot of bad things with Justice League. Now, let me just say this. Justice League was good. It wasn't bad, right? It wasn't whack. They had a lot of plot holes. But you don't if you don't see it, you'll be all right. It's not epic. You know what I mean? It's not an epic movie, but it's not as bad as people say. I know where they make a lot of money, but there's a couple of problems, right? The first issue that I had with it is it's not that bad. But look, I like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and she did really great in Wonder Woman. But with this cast of characters, and it's not like Ben Affleck is like, super stellar actor, you know what I mean? But she can act. I didn't realize that until I saw her with these other goons, and it was just, man, like, wow, like, I don't know what to say. So that's number one. Number two, Jason Momoa didn't get as much dialogue as I expected, right? And look, I get it. It was a movie. The pacing was dope, but, you got like a 10-second introduction of each character. The only one they really spent time on was Cyborg because his character was integral to the defeat of Steppenwolf, right? And speaking of Steppenwolf was very one-dimensional, and it's funny because people always critique Marvel movies and say that their villains are not all that great. Well, DC did the same thing. Steppenwolf wasn't all that great. Like, he was like, I want to destroy the world. This is no motivation. So that was another issue that I had with it. What's up with Henry Cavill's CGI? Like, what's up with that? Now, I heard that what happened is when Josh Whedon came in, they had to call people back for some reshoots. This is what I heard. And no, actually, it was on Looper TV. Looper talked about this. And they were saying that Henry Cavill was already filming another movie where he needed to wear a mustache. So he grew this like really thick mustache. So they had to like CGI his mustache away. They had like airbrush that joint away. Is that what they call it? Airbrush? They CGI that joint, right? So that looked very weird. And I know I'm nitpicking, and people say, "Oh, don't nitpick," but these are the things that plague the Justice League movie, right? It was just a lot of little things that just did not work. I think just like you couldn't help but to look at the details and everything, and then be like, "Yo, what's up with that?" Right? So those are the things that are bad in the movie, and I can go on and on about that. Now the worst. This is probably, people again are going to say that I was nitpicking, but my problem with DC, and why I really don't fuck with DC like that, is that they really lean on Superman. Like, if Superman is not around, it's hurting. And you saw that happen in this movie where when they didn't have Superman, they barely survived Steppenwolf, right? And then they bring Superman in, and it's just like Superman whips everybody ass, and that's it. Y'all go do this, I'm going to whip everybody ass, right? So Steppenwolf gets his ass handed to him by Superman. It's just, I think it's, in a way, it's dope because in this movie, you get to see Superman's powers. Like, you really get to see him get loose, right? But it was kind of whack. The second thing I had is that, they don't show Darkseid. And I know, again, I should have compared to Marvel movies, but isn't there like a bigger threat? Isn't there like a bigger threat, right? And then in the end credit scene, your man, not my man, your man Jesse Eisenberg is back as Lex Luthor. Like, he was a whack Lex Luthor, man. Why y'all gonna do that, man? Like, why y'all? Come on, DC. He was whack, B. Like, get somebody else. But and then another thing that I disliked is that I thought that was really bad was just how fast the movie went. Like, it felt like an hour, right? And again, that's not a bad thing because a lot of these movies clock over 2 hours, right? But I just felt like there was a lot that they left open that, I know they're going to probably do that later on, but I just felt they could have put some more dialogue in it. Like, like discuss why didn't Atlantis and Themyscira help out fighting against Steppenwolf? Like, you would think that, hey, we fought before, we barely made it, it's time to do it again. And, it's like nobody really mobilized. So I thought that was funny. I thought it would have been cool to kind of like see everybody back together. And then, like, where's Green Lantern? Like, we saw that Lantern die, and we saw that ring go away. So what happened? And I know there was time constraints. They couldn't bring everybody in, but it just felt like he was missing. The crew wasn't complete. And let me say this, man. Batman, Ben Affleck, like, that's supposed to be Dark Knight Batman. Just one of the reasons why I like Batman versus Superman, even though it was horrible, was that's my favorite Batman, the Dark Knight Batman, that Frank Miller Batman. And here is Ben Affleck as Dark Knight Batman. And don't get me wrong, Batman, if you said some funny shit to him, he always says some slick shit to you, right? He always says some slick shit, but it wasn't like no ha-ha. It was like, damn, he got me, B, you roasted me. And he didn't do that in this movie, but they tried to make him real funny. And I think it really fell short. So the dialogue was really, it was, again, I'm really trying hard not to compare it to the Avengers. I really am trying very hard. But it's like the Avengers set the standard. You know what I mean? It's like you go to a restaurant and you go to this 5-star restaurant, and then you're like, oh, this is great. And then somebody's like, yo, I got a restaurant just as good. And you go next door to that restaurant, and it's not as good. You can't help to compare it. I'm sorry, guys. Call me whatever you want. I'll make my marvel. I talk about this situation a lot. A lot of people ask me about, they'll come to me and they'll show me a photo. They'll be like, I want abs like this, right? And real quick, when we talk about abs, we always say 6-pack. It's actually an 8-pack. But people will say, I need to get this. How do I get this? Let me say this first, right? Abs, everybody's not supposed to have an 8-pack or 6-pack, whatever you want to call it. It's just not true. And a lot of times when you see people post pictures of it, they're usually people that spend a lot of time in the gym, 3 to 4 hours a day in the gym, and they get those abs, And I think that a lot of times it goes into, just really high expectations of what we do when we work out. But everybody is technically not supposed to have that. And the best example I can give is, I know people say you shouldn't do this, but when you look at the Twe people of Africa, or the San, or any other group of people that they were hunter gatherers, and they're still hunter gatherers, right? And you look at them, you can actually see their abs, but as they get older, you can actually see that the abs go away. And that's because, the way our body works, our metabolism does slow down, and everything goes down to our waist. So, and just to let you know, your body actually creates a layer of fat, like a thin layer of fat that goes over that to protect that area, the intestines area, and for several reasons. But I just want everybody to know that everybody's not supposed to have those abs. And the people that I do know that have them, they spend a lot of time in the gym. That being said, if you want to remove love handles, or quote unquote love handles, if you want to remove that layer, what you got to do is, here's some ideas. You have to stay away from fast food. And I know people are like, oh, that's hard. That's hard. You got to stay away from fast food. The second thing you got to do is you got to stay away from soda or pop or whatever you want to call it. That stuff is really, soda and pop is not good for you. Having a can every now and again, going to watching a football game, having a can once in the blue moon, that's cool. But you shouldn't be guzzling 3 or 4 cups of soda, which people do, per meal. You shouldn't do that. You gotta stay away from that. The final thing is something that actually, when I talk to people about health, I don't say, or you gotta have a strictly vegan diet or vegetarian. I don't say that. What I say is, we have a problem with overconsumption. I know I've talked about this before. You really, really, really got to stay away from that. All of us do it. I know I do it sometimes. Because I watch myself a lot. I'm like, oh, this is too much, right? We'll go out to eat, and we'll put heaps on a plate, or we'll get seconds and thirds when you really don't need it. Once you're not hungry anymore, you really don't need that, right? When you go to other countries, people, they give you, and when I say go to other countries, I mean go to other countries and eat outside of the resort in the hotel, right? Because the hotel and the resort, they cater to Westerners, meaning people from the United States, and they know that we eat a lot. So they give us those servings. But when you go outside of that, you notice that everybody's servings are smaller, and I remember a lot of my friends would be like, oh, this is whack. If you go to an authentic Chinese restaurant, or you go to an authentic restaurant, their portions are smaller, and people trip on that. I know I've eaten places where the portions are small. People are like, oh, I'm spending too much money. I'm like, but actually, that's how you're supposed to eat. You're supposed to eat like that, smaller portions. If you look at your fist and you close your hand into a fist, that's the size of your stomach, right? People trip when they hear that, right? And it's that's actually the size of your stomach. So we have to watch our portions. We have to really do that to, I'm not saying you're going to get abs, right? And then finally, the fourth thing is you got to exercise, and calisthenics are the best way to do that. I know people hate doing sit-ups and they hate doing crunches. If you do them right, you will not hurt your back. If you do them right, you will not hurt your. I do them, but I never have no issues with my back for several reasons, but that's one of them. But yeah, you got to exercise regularly. Jump rope works for me as well. Kicking works for me as well because you need that core. And also when you move around, when you're doing like heavy lifting or whatever, flex your abs, and it helps with, it helps put all that stuff in your core, because your core is what you need to move around. And also another problem we have in the United States is a lot of us have back problems because we're not putting all that stuff in our core. All right, I hope that helps out in this session of health for with my Killa tape back. So this segment survived to the season 2, right? Word is born. People ask me this a lot, actually, and here's the thing. I could be wrong about this answer because I didn't date in the digital age, right? Meaning cell phones, smartphones, actually. By the time that stuff came around, I was already married, 10 years in. But I do notice this, like, just on a social level, like, social media, like, so for example, I run into somebody and they'll be like, oh, what's the Instagram, and I get their Instagram and, I give them my Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have a Facebook no more, but then next thing I know, they find me on Facebook, they friend me on Facebook, they find me on Twitter, they friend me on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? I don't have Snapchat, so I can't speak on it, but I'm assuming that probably happens a lot, right? And don't get me wrong, people, I have exchanged numbers with people, and I don't do this no more because, like, I think it's kind of like very intrusive. How like their account will ask you, hey, let's link to your contacts, because then when you do that, everybody's stuff come out, and I don't need to see all that. Like, I don't need to do all that. They don't need my number. But I noticed when I did do that, like, for example, LinkedIn, like I said yes to that, so it gave me like everybody's LinkedIn from my contacts, from my phone contacts. So I was like, nah, I don't do that shit. So I unlinked that. But I'm pretty sure when you do that, there's social media information will pop up when you're on the application. And people ask me, should I or should I not add them to that social media? So, for example, if you meet somebody and they instead give you they give you their Instagram account, do you go over to Facebook and, saying like, oh, that's there on Facebook? Because people have all that stuff linked, right? So, oh, they're on Facebook, or, oh, they're on Twitter. Here they are on Twitter. And it just, because it'll all pop up, right? Because of those algorithms. So people want to know. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about consent, right? Like, at work, I don't give people my Twitter. Like, I don't give it to them. Like, I don't want them on it. So I don't give it to them, right? And then, like, also, I don't give out my Instagram to all my coworkers. I just don't want them on my Instagram. You know what I'm saying? And I think that applies for other things as well. Certain people, I don't want you on my Instagram. It's not private. Don't get me wrong. There were times when it was private, but I just don't want certain people on there. I got rid of my Facebook because of that, because people could follow you and not be your friend. So I think ultimately it's about consent. If she gave you her Instagram, then she gave you her Instagram. That's it. She didn't give you her Facebook, all that. You know what I'm saying? If she gave you her number, she gave you her number. And now later on down the line, you can ask. You know what I'm saying? Like, ultimately, you can ask. You can say, hey, is it okay if I follow you on Facebook or whatever? And they say, yeah, then that's cool. They say no, then don't. But I think it's about consent, because I think that, for most of us, social media is like kind of like a part of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like, what I do on Twitter is a part of me. I'm not saying it's all of me. What I do on Instagram is a part of me. All those things are parts of me. And I want to kind of like let people in. I know people are like, bro, it's public. And I feel you, but some people have private accounts. You know what I'm saying? So you got to consider that. And at the same time, but I just don't want you on it. It's plain and simple. And I think people should respect that. So to answer that question, again, let's go all the way down to the consenting. It's all about consent. I hope this helps out. Peace. want to say something real quick, man. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm being an old fogey when it comes to this sort of fashion, but why are people always wearing slides? Like, Nike slides or Adidas slides. They always wearing those. They house shoes, man. And then people are paying like $40 for these things, man. Like, they house shoes. And then they wearing socks with house shoes outside thinking it's cool. Like, yo, it's whack, man. Like, why would you do that, man? Such a fashion faux pas. Maybe I'm being elitist. Maybe I'm being an old fogey because I know in my day, you couldn't wear that stuff because you never know when you might have to throw the hands with somebody. So maybe that's it. Maybe, like they say, I'm cut from a different cloth. What the hell does that mean anyway, right? People use that all the time, and it's like, I'm cut from a different cloth. I mean, I can go on and on, right? Old fogey business, right? Initially, I was going to do like a year of, 2017, the best of, the worst of, all that. Then I decided not to do that because everybody else is doing it, and they probably do it way better than I do. Plus, on top of that, 2017 was a pretty shitty year for me on a personal tip. And I know for a lot of people, 2017 was shitty overall, not only because that, what they call those things? That cheese doodle puff is in the White House. So he's probably just one reason why it was a bad year across the board. But I decided not to do that and just give you a regular show. I was behind on my shows, and I didn't want to start season 2 off late in the year. So I'm going to start it off in January like I stated earlier. So it's not going to be a 2017 thing. Really, to be honest, I'm done with 2017. I took a lot of L's, and I want 2018 to be a year of at least a couple of wins, right? At least bring everything, get that 50% average in there, right? I'd be happy with that. I know that's shooting low, but like I said, 2017 was crazy for me, and it's crazy for a lot of us. So, word is born. Thank y'all. So we're going to go ahead and do these shout-outs. Word is born. First of all, I want to give a shout-out to my man, Phil. He opened up his studio, El Ricon Studio. He's still doing his thing. You can check him out on Instagram, El Ricon, Rincon, here in Dayton, Ohio. Shout out to the homie Tresk, who's out there putting in that work. I see you doing those throw-ups, man. Shout out to Tresk, yo. I love you. Word is born. Yo, shout out to everybody that just really had a crappy year in 2017, man. A lot of us took L's. This episode is for you. Because I took a lot of L's, so I know how it is. I lost a lot of loved ones on top of everything else that went down. And this is hoping that 2018 will be the year that you need to get what you deserve and what you earn. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like The Last Jedi. That movie came right on time for me so shout out to everybody that did The Last Jedi, Word is Born, because that really gave me a lot of hope. That movie said, yo, sometimes, from what I learned in that movie was that sometimes you got to clean everything off and start brand new, man. And that's how we're going to do it in 2018. Peace. There goes our big fat holiday special. I appreciate it. So real quick, if you want to at me on Twitter, you can do it at 2 places, at Omis Podcast, and that's OMIS Podcast on Twitter, or at my usual, at Dantres Omi, DENTRESOMI. You can check me out on YouTube also. Just punch in where my Killa tape at. We are on iTunes, SoundCloud. Definitely check us out in those spaces. And most of my episodes are on YouTube, so if you really want to check it out, go there. I haven't put all of them up there. I have like maybe 4 or 5 that I haven't put up there. But I got a lot coming up come 2018. I appreciate y'all for checking it out. And yo, I love all of y'all. Y'all been very supportive. I appreciate the DMs. I appreciate the love, the comments. I love all of y'all, man, even the people that don't like me. But it's been a dope year for the podcast. A shitty year for myself, but a dope year for the podcast. So thank y'all so much, man. I'll see y'all in 2018. Habaragani. Peace.